everyone, it's update time. Alright, so, was it last week, I think? I posted a tiny update when I was really sick and was like, you know, I'd like to do a bigger update at some point here, so this is going to be that update here. And as usual, I kind of have my FTL soundtrack playing in the background just for some background, a little bit of background noise, just so it's just not my voice here. But anyway, a lot of things to talk about. And I'll try and get through as many here as I can as quickly as possible, not to waste your time. And so let's just start going through it here. First of all, Pyre. Pyre has been really interesting. It's a very, very fun game. It's really awesome. If you haven't checked it out, either on my channel or elsewhere, or just checking it out on Steam for yourself, it's super good. It's the latest game from Supergiant. I describe it as an RPG combined, or a visual novel combined with NBA Jam, and that's pretty accurate the more I've played with it. But the story and the art and the music and everything is just fantastic. It's a, very Supergiant games. What's interesting to know is it's actually not been doing well on the channel at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way I'm recording it, is that I'm actually doing full narration. It's not something I usually do. I'm reading out all the dialogue. It's very visual novel heavy. There's not a lot of, I guess we could call the core gameplay, so that's been kind of interesting. It will probably go down to like every other day. In fact, that's gonna be the sequence for a lot of things coming up, and we'll talk about that more in a couple minutes here. But yeah, so it's still being recorded. I'm still gonna play through the whole game. I'm still gonna finish it. I'm having a ton of fun with it. But I'd love to hear feedback on it. Do you like the narration? Not like the narration? Is it kind of like being read a story? Is it really obnoxious? I'd love to hear more about it. I'd love to hear, like, either why you're watching, why you're not watching it. Is it the game? Is it me? Is it both? And on either side, I'd love to know. Yeah, so that series will be continuing. It probably won't be a video up today, the day this goes up, so it might be like a 2-day gap here. But yeah, that will be continuing. Next up, we have Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is just, it's an awesome game. Again, if you haven't checked it out for yourself, I highly, highly recommend it. I have some absurd number of hours in the game at this point. In fact, out of curiosity, let me take a quick look. 139 hours in the game, and it's just a lot of fun. It's very challenging, but at the same time, kind of relaxing, and I feel like it gets some fun reactions out of me. So that will be continuing as well. Now, the morning that this went up, XCOM 2 took its slot. That's not indicative of me stopping playing Darkest Dungeon or anything like that. It's actually just indicative of me trying to cut down on the spam. Basically, I've been posting 2 to 3 videos a day now for a month, and not only is that a huge strain on me with everything that's going on with school and everything, but I don't think I have the viewer base to support that right now. Essentially, there's a lot of people watching the videos, but I noticed that if I put up 3 videos a day, the total views isn't that much higher. It's maybe like 20 to 30% higher total views for 3 times as much on the videos. Essentially, that a lot of people that are watching, they want to watch a video every day, but they're only watching one. They don't have the time to watch, 2 to 3 hours of just my content. That's a lot. Thinking about like how I watch videos on YouTube, like, I don't even know if I watch that much a day, so I can totally understand that. So currently the plan is I'm probably going to swap, or alternate rather, Darkest Dungeon, and whoops, there's the background again, and XCOM is probably going to be swapped around here. Now XCOM, new expansion came out, turn-based strategy game. If you've never seen it, again, highly recommend it. Extremely challenging. The new expansion adds just like a huge amount of stuff. More stuff than I could have possibly fathomed. In fact, I think it's kind of funny how much that the game kind of trips over itself trying to teach you all the new mechanics and everything. So that's another series that's going to be going, and I'm actually like recorded way ahead on that, like probably like a week ahead. So if you're asking to have your character put in, or you've left me a tip or something, you're not seeing it immediately, it's just because I recorded a ton of backlog. Basically, the day the game came out and the day after, like, I just wanted to play a lot of it. So I just kept playing, kept recording, and just kind of went with it. Now, the good and bad of that is that if I do that alternating, it does mean that the backlog gets like crazy. Like, we might be over a week out at this point before the backlog catches up, because I might be only posting them every other day. And I'd love to hear your feedback on that too. If I post videos in an alternating cycle like that, how does that feel? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Do you like it? Do you not really particularly care as long as you got something to watch? Let me know. And again, a lot of this is a combination of not wanting to necessarily flood the channel and to also make it manageable for myself, because I really enjoy doing this and I don't want it to become a struggle, or you know, I'm not meeting my own expectations for it, I guess. Speaking of not meeting my own expectations for that, let's see. Yeah, Dragon Quest Heroes 2. So, I'm still gonna finish this. It's been like probably a week and a half since the last video at this point. Might even be closer to 2 weeks. And like, we're right at the end of the game. There's probably maybe like 2 hours left in the game, I would guess. But basically what happens is we get close to the end of the game. We hit kind of like the final areas. And the final areas are just like an exploration fest, which is cool, and it's cool to pick up loot. But it doesn't really make for interesting content. And I mean, Dynasty Warriors to begin with is tough to record. Again, the people that have watched it have watched like the entirety of every video. Like, it's really funny to see the stats on those videos that like they have really low views, but the retention on them is like ridiculous. Like, everybody that watches them is watching all the way through, which is super cool. So like, if you're just putting it on in the background or whatever, and it's like good background noise, and you know, like, that's awesome. That's great. So I would still like to finish this series. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably just going to record like a no commentary, like 2-hour thing where I just go through and I pick up all the rest of the items. And then I'll just chop it up. I'll just do like a super cut of, here are all the remaining treasure chests in the Dark World. And then we'll go into like a normal video to go through the final dungeon. I don't know when that will be at this point. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But I would like to finish the game at least, make sure that series is complete. Then we can move on with that. So, next up, I'm just going to drop back to my background here. Also, I put my Twitter and Twitch info up there. For other games that just came out, like Mario vs. Rabbids, or Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Was it versus or and? I don't know. Either way, that was part of the vote. You know, like, should I record that? Ultimately, the vote between that and XCOM was actually really close, and I kind of just honestly decided I'd rather have Rabbids available for me to play on my own time, because the Switch is an awesome console that I can play laying in bed, honestly. So I've actually been playing a lot of that. It's a really, really good game. I wouldn't even call it XCOM-like, because there's some really in-depth mechanics in the game that are really, really cool. So props to them for making something that I don't think anybody expected, and it turned out awesome. Shantae was the other thing up there on the vote, and I don't know if I'm still going to play that on the channel at some point. I haven't played it myself yet. And this is the Pirate's Quest DLC, the Risky Boots campaign. Kind of like, I'm assuming kind of like the Shovel Knight additional campaigns, yeah. So I don't know if I'm still going to play that on channel. I might play it on my own time. I haven't decided on that yet. I'd also like to do some more quick looks. I actually have codes for Bannerman and Songbringer, 2 games that I was looking at that I ended up getting codes for. I would like to do quick look videos for those, so you might see those coming up soon. We'll see how it pans out. And I typically like to check out the game first and see, you know, like, is this something that I'm into, you know, and if so, like, do a video on it. And that brings us to let's see, it's probably a good transition to talk about YouTube stuff. So this is some stats up on the screen here, and speaking of quick looks, we had a quick look for Dark Flame. Now that video is almost 2 years old at this point, and at some point I get a little notification that's like, oh, this video hit 100 likes. It's your first video ever to hit 100 likes. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then the views on it just started going nuts. If you look at that graph, that's kind of like the best little slice of what happened. Essentially, that video got like 40 or 50,000 views over the course of the weekend, which is almost 10 times like any other video I have. I think my next highest video at this point is like 7,500 views or something. Like, it was insane. It became basically half the channel for the month of August. And my guess is just like you hit that 100 likes and it must like change the algorithm or something, or like how it gets searched. Because I mean, it's like a really old video. So that like led to this like huge explosion, and like we had like 150 subs coming to the channel, and it was super awesome. Like, what a wild ride for something like that to happen. So that's super cool. I've actually talked to the developer of that game because I was really critical of it in that video, and that's like a super old build. So I asked him, you know, like, do you have an updated build? So hopefully I'll be able to do a new video on that game at some point in the future and see like how it's come along since then. Since probably some of you watching this video watched that video. Take a sip of my water here. So, other things that come along with that. One, if I missed any of your comments during that time, I apologize. There were like 100 comments that came into that video from people like that only saw that video and stuff like that. So, like, my comments feed was just going nuts. So if I lost any of your comments in that, I'm sorry. I apologize. I do my best to try to. I read all the comments at the very least, and I try my best to reply if I have something to say, or at least I'll leave the little heart thing so you know that like I really liked your comment, or I'll upvote it, or something like that, just to let you know that I'm actually there and I'm reading it. So then the other thing that's happened is that YouTube like tightened up the algorithm or their rules or whatever it is on videos being quote-unquote advertiser friendly. Basically, essentially, if your video is deemed not advertiser friendly, you're not allowed to monetize it, or you won't be monetized with those advertisers. So this leads to kind of a problem. And the problem is not like, it's not money, I guess is what I'll say first, is that I'm not relying on YouTube to pay bills or anything. I'm basically relying on it to be self-sufficient. I pretty much, any of the money I get from YouTube, I put into buying games to play on the channel. Is essentially what it comes down to. Or, you know, like I did stuff like I used some of the money to pay for commission for Twitch emotes, that sort of thing. Basically, any money that I get basically goes right back into the channel at this point. And if I get any extra, then, you know, then it starts to pay like for food and electricity and things like that, and that's cool. But usually it just kind of pays for the games that are being played on the channel. But now that YouTube has tightened up these restrictions and such, and I'm seeing a ton of my videos getting flagged, which is wild to me, because you guys know that I usually don't swear in the videos, or I try not to at least. And unfortunately, I don't know why they're getting flagged. Now, the XCOM 2 videos in particular are getting flagged a lot, and I think that's because they include war in the title, and I say war a fair amount in the videos. So that's my best guess as to why that's happening. Unfortunately, the way it works is that you can request a review, but the video has to hit 1,000 views within a 7-day period to get manually reviewed. So, I mean, realistically speaking, the majority of the videos I put out will never ever be reviewed. If they get flagged, they're just going to be that way permanently. Which is a huge bummer, because the other thing I don't know is I don't know if that changes my search algorithms and things like that, so I don't know if less people are seeing the videos. It's really just a bummer. So, essentially, I'm kind of hoping that they get that stuff sorted out. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff about it. I mean, if you look all over the internet, it's all over the place. A lot of people running into trouble with this, so I imagine we'll see some more stuff from the YouTube side about it, but as for where I am, I'm really just kind of in the dark about it. I don't have any way of communicating with YouTube or getting those videos looked at or anything like that. I kind of just have to ride it out. So, with that said, every so often people are like, you know, how can I support you, or can I buy you a game, or, you know, what can I do? And I hate to like show myself out here, but if there is something you want to do, I have been streaming on Twitch. We usually only stream once a week. That might change in the future if I can find myself a good solo stream time, but I stream every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with my buddy The Nerdy Dad. We've been playing all the Dark Souls games, or co-oping, going through all the games. We pretty much just chill for 2 hours a night, or 2 to 3 hours on Wednesdays, depending on what's going on, and just like chit chat and play Dark Souls and talk about games, or talk about, you know, like just whatever, chit chat with people on the channel, things like that. And it's been really, really fun. So if there's something like, if you're looking for a way to support the channel, the best way, honestly, is probably to do it through Twitch. If you want to throw bits at me, or I actually have a subscription button now. The subscription is $5 a month. It gets you the emotes, and I think it takes ads off the channel. Not that I've been running ads. But essentially, like, those are things you could do to support the channel. It's totally not required. I don't expect anyone to do it. Don't feel obligated. The content on the channel isn't going to change as a result of it, anything like that. But if you are looking for a way to help me out, and again, you know, mostly it's just like this will buy more games for the channel and things like that, or upgrade equipment, or maybe buy me a cheeseburger. I don't know, but you get the idea. Essentially, if you want to do something like that, that's super cool. If you don't, that's also totally cool. Just watching the videos, leaving comments. Obviously, apparently clicking the like button is way more important than I ever even imagined. But yeah, so like, just being here is kind of all the support I need and stuff like that to keep doing what I'm doing. And the last thing I wanted to touch on here before I wrap up, because this video is super long, is... Oh, that needs to be resized. Blow this up here. There we go. So game dev stuff. I talked about that in the last video, and relatively recently. You know, I'm going to school for game design. Basically, I went back to school essentially to pursue, you know, a dream of that I never got to do when I got out of high school originally. And so the two screenshots you see there are just two things that I'd worked on. I mean, they're student projects, so put that in perspective. The one on the top right is a project from last quarter, and the 2D game in the lower left is something I'm working on right now. And I wanted to kind of, you know, bring some of that to the channel. So I think what I'm going to do, maybe after this quarter is finished, I'd like to do a little recording of both of the games that I worked on, and to try to give perspective into this is what beginner game development looks like. Because you see it all the time. People are like, oh, I could do better than that. And like heavily criticizing devs about alpha build and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people out there don't understand what really goes into game development, what really goes into beginner game development. What does beginner game development look like? You know, what does someone's first project look like? Things like that. And so I'd kind of like to help kind of spread the word on that, I suppose, and thinking maybe I can help do that by showing my own stuff and kind of putting myself out there and being like, look, these are the little janky games that I made in school to show you that, like, this stuff is not easy. This stuff is time consuming. It is difficult. It is very, very challenging to even do very, very simple things. The tools we have now are just like immensely better than they ever were, but it's still very, very time consuming. It's very challenging, but it's also very fun. So I think I'll try to do that at some point too. And I think that's everything. If you're still hanging out in this video, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear comments. If you have any comments, any questions, any concerns, anything, I would love to hear more. Again, if you want to get more updates, I post stuff on Twitter sometimes. If you want to see me stream, I at least stream every Wednesday night and would like to do some more solo streaming. And that'll be at twitch.tv/positronplays. At positronplays on Twitter. You can always catch me here on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for all the support. Thank you much for all the comments and just like hanging out here and just giving me a place to do this and enjoy the community. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys soon.